A practical tip for business owners who are always stressed out or they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off: come back to the breath. One easy practice that you can do is literally place one hand on your heart, one hand on your forehead, close down your eyes, take a deep breath in, and then sigh it out, let it go. Do that 2 more times. Call your energy back to you, and you're ready to go. My name is Gena Bradshaw Vitale. I am the owner and founder of Holistic Human Performance and co-founder of Fearless Founders Network Community.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'm looking forward to having this conversation. So, can you go a little deep into who you are and what you do and what those businesses mean and are to you?
Okay, let's get into it. So, my story, my journey started at a very young age. I am a 2-time cancer survivor. I was 3.5 when I was diagnosed with leukemia, and then 20 when I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Interestingly enough, and how God, universe, source works, I was born into a very holistic, healthy, fit family. And so those principles and philosophies definitely helped me along the way. Born also into an entrepreneurship family. So as I grew up, I was out of the woods by 5, was playing a lot of sports, farm to table kind of style eating, and just a really great family dynamic. And so from there, I naturally just really loved sports, getting out frustrations and aggravations throughout there. And I really took a liking to what my parents do currently. They actually technically have a legacy business. It's called Bradshaw Personal Fitness. And so I really took a liking to it. So I started to get into more of the fitness, health, nutrition aspect. And so I ended up going to college, and I competed collegiately track and field, and I received my bachelor's of science in exercise science. And I then just kind of took a liking. I was like, I'm gonna join the family business, did business administration and all these great things to learn more of like how to up level the business and join in. And so actually, after I graduated college, my parents were like, so that's great, you can join, but we need you to get some like managerial skills. So I ended up going into more of a corporate big box gym, learned so much, took away their systems, managerial skills. I ended up running a department, metabolics department. And so I took all of that and applied it to also what I was doing with the family fitness business. And then 2020 came, and I had a routine checkup, and did not go as planned. It was pretty scary. It ended up being fine. However, in the midst of that, having a full blown panic attack, I had what we call a spiritual awakening. And I'm in my car hysterically crying because they're not allowed to tell you anything. They're like, we don't have the results, we have to do more testing. I am hysterically crying, and all of a sudden, I have this like wave of peace just wash over me and say, I heard literally in my head, everything's gonna be okay. And then I heard, you're gonna write a book about this one day. And I said, what? In the middle of the tears. And I didn't really give it much thought until I did a lot of work and still do a lot of work with cancer nonprofit organizations. I do a lot of speaking events. And I applied for, it was this virtual event because we couldn't go anywhere. And I wanted to talk about more of like the holistic lifestyle and how that helped me throughout my journey, because it really did play a huge role in my healing and learning about meditation. I really got into energy medicine, energy healing, just really what a spiritual awakening kind of brings to you to learn about all these things. So I started to break down the presentation. I submitted it, and I got rejected. They said, no, we don't want to hear that. So then I started looking at the presentations, and I started looking at how it was broken down. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my goodness, these are the chapters to my book. These are how I'm going to break it down. And so I'm one, like speed is everything for me. So I just got right to it. And I knew how cathartic writing was personally for me throughout my entire life. I definitely have a skill and a gift of writing. I just never realized it throughout my life until that point in time. And I just started writing. I opened up a Word doc and I just started getting to work. And I just did it. And that actually opened up the door to me in shifting into more of holistic human performance, the business I created. So my book originally started, which is called A Survivor Story, a holistic healing journey through cancer. And I break down, it's kind of like a guide, and I share my story in there as well. All of these principles and studies and research that have truly helped me get to where I am in life. And so from there, I still had this feeling of there's more to be done. And that is how I kind of created holistic human performance, and the business blossomed after that. So I shifted out of the health, fitness, and nutrition realm and said, I'm going to go all in on holistic health, energy medicine, and spirituality because it completely changed my life. And the more that I immersed myself in this, and of course, like I went for continuing education, I had mentors, coaches, and I just applied it and integrated it. And that is how holistic human performance blossomed.
What is the business structure of holistic human performance?
So I combine ancient practices and tools with modern science. So spirituality and science are two sides of the same coin. And I really started to, again, integrate that into my own life. And what it is a combination of holistic health, energy medicine, and spirituality. It's all about reclaiming your health, transforming your life, and following your soul's mission and purpose. What I found along the way, and what you heard from Melissa as well, is entrepreneurship is a spiritual game. Now, health and purpose are directly correlated. You cannot have one without the other. Think about this. If you are unfulfilled and unhappy, like, how are you feeling? How's your health? Probably not great. So I started to realize that and said to myself, all of these things that I had been doing was just a training ground for what I'm actually meant to do with my soul's purpose. And now I don't know, I don't have the whole answer, of course, but I know from the depths of my soul that the path that I'm on currently is where I'm meant to go. And when I started to apply this to clients, students, communities, I said, wow, we have something here. And so I started to create a methodology out of that. And that methodology really combined holistic health, the energy medicine, and the spirituality. And really, what it is breaking down holism, which is the interconnection of mind, body, soul. It is mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and energetic. Energetic ties all of those buckets together. You cannot have one without the other. And so that's pretty much the philosophy of how I base it off of. Now, in terms of the business aspect, as I was going through my own training and learning all of these things and applying it, I said, okay, I would see my own coaches and mentors, and you would have a session, right? And they would say, all right, so you're going to do this, this, and this. Okay, where do I find those things? Like, where do I get those things? Oh, well, you can go on YouTube, you could do this, you could do that. And I said, okay, this is like the missing piece here. So I created an app. And so holistic human performance is kind of like an umbrella where it has the coaching, the digital products, and like workbooks, and also just in person workshops and events. And so we have a session together for those people who want to dive deeper into more of the one-on-one coachings and healings, and we incorporate also astrology readings as well. And it really just helps you to find out more about yourself, because who doesn't want to learn more about themselves? We all do. And how do we move the needle? How do we find the solution to the problem? Why is it that I'm still battling this chronic inflammation or this chronic illness and no one can figure it out? They come to see me or do a session with me, and we get down to the root of the problem. And most of the time, it's emotional and energetic. And then, of course, there are other variables that we can switch up, but it really doesn't have to be this complex situation where, you're playing this ring around. And a lot of people also get stuck up on the identity of who they were and what that means to them. And if they lose that, disease or what they were doing in their past, who am I? I don't know who I am. And so we help them move that needle of, okay, this is who I once was, but I also want to get here. I want to be this person. And so that's what we really help people with in terms of their journeys and really just discovering, like, how can I be the healthiest, happiest, most aligned version of myself unapologetically.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Who's your typical clientele?
So I see my typical clientele are those who are looking to get healthier, but also are open minded in terms of the energetic and spiritual aspect. So integrating those. Also, I do work with a lot of entrepreneurs. It just naturally started to happen. So I see two different pools of people. And interestingly enough, those people who start out with me who they're more into holistic health, of course, who want to get healthier, they discover, oh, wait, I have these gifts and talents that I've wanted to be utilizing and I just like have suppressed them and haven't used them at all. How can I integrate this into my life? And that kind of shifts them into whether it be a side project, a side hustle, and then eventually a full blown business. And so that's kind of the shift that I've seen. And originally, when I did start Holistic Human Performance, I was seeing mostly those individuals who were going through cancer in survivorship. I still see some of those people, but it's just not where I was meant to be taken. So I said, okay, I'm gonna make this pivot, and this is where I'm gonna go. And so that's just how we roll.
How do you operate in the sense of like or location? Is there a specific like a bread and butter? Is there a brick and mortar, or is there like a is it online? Or is it all through the app? What's the structure of that?
Yeah. So I knew that I wanted to have a family, and I said to myself, okay, so I don't want to be working tirelessly, endlessly. And eventually I would like a brick and mortar space, but I am about 90% virtually. So I do virtual calls and through the app, of course. So I'll do live stream classes, but also I do everything's pre recorded basically. And then the rest of the time,
Oh, interesting. So just to clarify,
yeah,
so if somebody comes in, are they essentially taking a course of it, or is it
they
one on
can.
one?
They have the option to.
Okay.
So if someone does not want to do a one-on-one session, I have digital courses and programs that there are right on the app and they could self-paced wherever, whenever they want to do it. And it just depends on the person. So I always do a 15-minute discovery call. Hey, what are you looking for? We need to get to know each other to make sure we're aligned and I'm the right fit for you. And so once we figure that out, some people really like virtual. Some people really like to do things. They're doing an at home workout. They want to do a yoga flow. They don't want to be bothered. Okay, fine. Go right ahead. So that's where the app comes in. Or you have the option to work with me or our astrologer one on one and see kind of, what you want to do. And so those are more subscription membership based and they have full access to the app. So that's where kind of I found the solution to the problem where, like I was saying before, I would go see a coach or a mentor and they're like, do this, do this, do this. And then you're like, where do I find that? So that's where, for me, the integration tool is how you get from point A to point B. So if we're on a call, and let's just say, for example, you're dealing with a lot of anger. Okay, great. You're going to go inside the app and you're going to do the meditation and breath work for anger for a week. And then let's reconvene and see how you do. And so that's pretty much how I set it up. And then that 10% of the time, there's the option to do like one on one in person energy or sound healings if you want. Or people will hire me or I'll host them myself in person retreats or classes. I do some on the beach. Or I'll have other locations contact me and be like, hey, we want you to come in and host a workshop. And so, or a retreat. And so that's how We do the in-person stuff.
Very interesting.
Yes.
So I just before we transition, I want to piggyback on something you said earlier. You talked about like ancient healing or ancient medicine. I want to talk just what does that mean to you, and what how do you incorporate that into today? And um, I've just been finding, I don't know, man. We chatted a little beforehand, you know, behind the scenes and stuff, and how and in the previous interview with Melissa, like we talked about like the stuff that I have. You know, I run a farm, and um, we've gone a really far way, you know, and from where things used to be. And I think there's, you know, there's like you said, science and spirituality, but also just science and you know, ancient science and modern science. I think they're kind of two, like you said, I don't know what the phrase is, but like
Two
two
sides
sides
of
of
the
the same
same coin.
coin. Where I think they kind of can be used back and forth. You know, but I think that we've kind of very similarly when we were talking about the pendulum swing. We swing very far in one. Human nature is to swing very far in one direction, and I think that we've swung very far in one direction personally. And I've been, you know, slowly swinging back in the other direction. And for years now, where people thought I was crazy years ago, and
Of
now
course.
we're the trending people that are
Yeah.
like, oh wow, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, I've been doing it for 10 years. You just thought I was crazy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, now finally you think it's cool and you want to just do what I've been doing for, as my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Um, but that being said, it's amazing how much some of the stuff works. But like, so just, I'm curious what that means to you, and what can you elaborate on how you incorporate that?
Yeah, so I always look at the individual's lifestyle. Okay, what is your lifestyle like? What are you doing on a daily basis? What are your daily habits like? Are you living in survival? I do a lot of nervous system work and subconscious like programming. Okay, are you living in survival mode? Is there a lion chasing you all day long? Or are you in a what we call a parasympathetic state, rest and digest state? We need to look at that, and we naturally as human beings have primal brains. Like we operate on primal brains, which is not necessary anymore. We're not living really in the wilderness anymore where we would need that. Are we safe? Are we going to die? Technology has brought us to this point, and I really love the aspect of integrating modern technology with these ancient
Which would be
practices.
the use of the app with these ancient practices.
Exactly, exactly. So, what we're seeing is uh, we started off in, this industrial age, and now it's swung so far one way, and people are realizing, oh my goodness, the more I climb to the top of the ladder in this corporation, the more tired and unhealthy I am. And now people are starting to realize, wait, I have given all of my energy to an external source, and I forgot who I am. I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm so focused on the external world. People don't know how to go internally and actually reevaluate and see, who am I? Like what am I actually here to do? What's my internal compass telling me? What's my intuition telling me? It is just like training a muscle. It's just like going to the gym and training a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that's just how it is. And a lot of people will live a whole lifetime without even realizing that, and just kind of asleep. I help people wake up. You can create any type of life that you want to live. It's just a matter of what kind of lifestyle do you want to live. You don't have to do what I do. No one's telling you to have a farm. No one's telling you to have a garden in your backyard. Are those things great? Absolutely. I love being able to go in my backyard and pick some basil and go cook. But you don't have to do those things. However, are you able, and I say this all the time, my dream for everyone is to be able to ask yourself when you're going through a moment, what do I need in this moment, in this time? And that answer should come to you immediately. I Perfect example. I literally posted about this the other day. I was having a freak out moment. I'm giving birth soon, and I was having a freak out moment. And I was like, all right. I'm like too far away from myself. Like, I need to come back to my center. I asked myself, what do I need in this moment, in this time? The answer was go sit outside in the grass and do a little bit of breath work. And I felt amazing after. And it just brought me back to my center. And it's just a simple tool. What tools do you have in your toolbox that you can utilize on a daily basis to handle the capacity of life? It's as simple
Yeah,
as that.
very interesting.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about what you mentioned earlier with the like fight or flight state that a lot of humans live in, and how you don't think that's necessary anymore, and we've evolved, but we actually haven't moved on. And just talk to me more. I think that's an interesting topic. And I'm curious if you think it can be like rewired the brain, or if you think it's innate, or just the whole topic I find
Oh
interesting.
my gosh, I mean, you can heal from cancer. You can 100% rewire your brain, of course. It's just people don't know like how to do it. They don't have the proper tools because society doesn't teach us that. And it's just a part of, how people grew up. I grew up in a family, which I'm so grateful for, that set me up for success when it came to me living out my soul's mission and purpose. I had those tools and then I built on it. Some people, though, will come to me and they have nothing. They have no coping skills, they have no tools, they have no emotional intelligence because they didn't grow up in an environment that gave it to them. And so we're starting to see now people wake up and be like, wait, you mean I don't have to be freaking out every moment of every day? I don't need to be living in this anxious mode. No, you don't. You literally don't have to. You can make the choice of, do you want to survive or do you want to thrive? Thriving is literally your birthright. It is your birthright, and nobody realizes that. So, the primal brain is just, it is innate. However, you can train it. How do you train it? With these specific tools: meditation, breath work, movement, nutrition, um, your environment, right? Are you surrounded by EMF all day long? Because that plays a huge role on your brain. Bluetooth, those waves, that plays a huge role on your brain. Are you loaded? Is your body loaded with heavy metals and parasites? That plays a huge role on your brain and on your health. If your nervous system is stuck in a survival mode, like chronically, it causes chronic inflammation, which is a predisposed to disease in whatever way, shape, or form. Your lifestyle, and a lot of people get this twisted when it comes to genetics. They think, oh, well, my dad had heart disease, so it's probably something that I'm going to have. No, it doesn't mean you're going to have heart disease. What is the environment you're living on? This is epigenetics. What kind of environment are you living that could either upregulate your genetic coding or downregulate your genetic coding? And so if you're stuck in that chronic survival mode, yeah, you're going to upregulate that genetic coding. However, can you flip the switch? Absolutely. What do? You got to change your lifestyle. You cannot heal in the same environment that you got sick in.
I think that's a really interesting quote right there, and I would love for you just to expand on that a little. So, you cannot heal in the same environment that you got sick in is a really, I think a lot of people need to hear that. So just
Yeah,
repeat that and elaborate on that because that's a really interesting. You could use that for life. You could use that for business. You can use that for anything.
anything. Anything. So think of it this way: you want to change your life, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to create change if you're doing the same thing that you were doing prior? You're literally just on a merry-go-round and you're just going to go crazy. You're like doing the same daily task, and those daily habits is what creates change, right? Habit stacking, compounding interest, it's the same thing. So let's just say in the morning, simple, right? You grab your phone and you go right on social media. What are you doing? You are, number one, priming your brain to be external, and you're giving the world your energy first before you cater to yourself. What can we do? Easy. Don't go on your phone first. Put that aside. And when you first wake up, you do like 30 seconds of breathing. Just give yourself like that easy, simple task. Okay, great. Now, what does that do? Builds more competency, builds more confidence over time because now you're being consistent. You're like, oh, I can do this. I actually feel really good. And I hear this all the time. Wow, I didn't know I needed that. Yeah. Now let's keep it up.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I learned this principle very probably 10 years ago, and I've incorporated in my life every day where like I can tell when I'm starting to feel overstimulated. And I just started this principle of doing nothing for 5 minutes, and I'll just sit here and just whatever happens. Like I won't go on my phone. I won't, I'll just
You're
sit and
just
do
feeling it.
nothing. Yeah, I let my brain kind of grow, but that's it. And you can, I'll feel this shift where like all of a sudden, like this long breath comes, and then it's like, oh, and then I still know that I need a minute or two after the fact, but that's usually about the 3 minute mark that happens, and
Yeah.
then it's it and it just it's changed my life because like that simple practice of like even from here like we filmed 2 interviews. I was stressed getting here because I had my daughter and my wife was running late and my daughter was here and my wife, all these things, right? Now if I just when we finish filming go on to the next thing, like it's just compounding, like we just said, in the wrong direction of stress and next stress, and then I come home and my daughter's not napping right now, I'm stressed, but then this, and right, then I have a Zoom call at 3, right, all these things, and then if I don't take the moment to like just decompress for a minute, it's amazing how you can totally shift the way you structure things. So I'm curious before we go into your role in Fearless Founders. I want a practical tip for business owners that when they're feeling stressed and when they before they go into an important meeting or before if something an important employee leaves, what's a practical breathing exercise that they can do?
A practical tip for business owners who are always stressed out or they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off, come back to the breath. One easy practice that you can do is literally place one hand on your heart, one hand on your forehead, close down your eyes, take a deep breath in, and then sigh it out, let it go. Do that 2 more times. Call your energy back to you, and you're ready to go.
So why the hand on the head and the hand on the chest?
That is a connection point between your mind and your body. We're all stuck up in here in our mind. And when that happens, that's when we're in overdrive and we're overthinking. And that's where the primal brain takes over. When you place your hand on your body, that's the connection point of, oh, I'm connected to this thing also. I have this vessel that needs to calm down as well, because what happens? You have your brain and it's also connected to your spinal cord that goes all the way down to your tailbone. So you're connecting the mind, the body, and the soul, really, because the vessel holds the soul. And so that helps you to ground and bring your energy back to you so that you can just recollect, realign, and get back to what you need to do. And it doesn't need to be this whole song and dance. A lot of people think, oh, well, I should be meditating for an hour. No, you really don't have to. You can do it for literally 3 breaths. What does that take? 20 seconds. And just reclaim your energy, call it back to you. You'll be more grounded, and then you're ready to go. And you'll be able to, just concentrate more on what you need to do for the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Micro moments.
Well, micro moments add up,
They,
compounding interest, like you just said.
exactly.
Talk to me about your role in the Fearless Founders.
So, going through this pregnancy journey, which again is a lot as an entrepreneur, you're juggling a lot of roles, you're about to enter a whole new chapter, and entrepreneurship can be very lonely. I had to
Which, for the record, that's part of the reason I started this podcast because we have different problems, questions, conversations as a business owner that than other people do, and than employees. Totally different mindset. And I wanted to create a platform where people can relate to other business owners. So I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm
No,
just totally related with
but
that.
that's literally how I was feeling. And so I also have a podcast. It just, having the podcast, I have 136 episodes now, all under holistic human performance. And just meeting all of these, it just sparked something in me. And it's all virtual. So I was like, I need like to just go to these, I need in-person stuff. I need something. I need to do something. So Melissa and I had been in contact, and we reconnected over a couple years. And I put up an Instagram post on my story. I was like, hey guys, entrepreneurship is very lonely. Who would be down to do like a coffee meetup? Like, who would be down to do this? The responses were phenomenal. I mean, it was over 50 responses of entrepreneurs being like, I'm in, let's go. And then I'm like, oh man, I can't do this alone. I'm all about collaboration too. I just, teamwork is makes the dream work. I'm all about it. And so I was like, who could I do this with? And me and Melissa had been in contact and was like, she would be the perfect person to collaborate with and create something with. So I said, hey, so it started off as coffee meetups and we just started to kind of rift and build ideas off of each other, and she was like, I'm in, say less. And so that's really how Fearless Founders began. And it we didn't even end up doing a coffee meetup, it ended up being a full-blown event. We had 20 people come and it was at a restaurant. There was coffee there, but it wasn't a coffee meetup. And Melissa brings this element of the groundedness, the techie side of things where I don't. So it's the synergy between the two of us is so authentic, it's so real, it's so raw. Other people see it. And we just have so much fun doing it. We like love coaching, helping, and having that servant's heart. We both started our businesses and brands from a place of we have a solution to a problem and we're here to add value to other people. And that is exactly the same energy we bring to Fearless Founders, specifically for entrepreneurs, bold hearted, who want to like go big. We're all about going big here. You want to leave a legacy, you want to step into your leadership role, step into your power, and help people on a big scale. And that's what we're here to do. And so that's really how Fearless Founders began.
I admire that. That's great.
Thank you.
So let's just talk events really quickly because I didn't think to talk to this with Melissa. Uh, I've been in the works of planning New York's Business Podcast event with previous guests. So at this point, I think I've had close to 60 interviews. So there's about 60 guests that would be invited, and I'm thinking maybe like an invite a friend kind of thing, invite another business owner. But there's a lot of people that host events and stuff in different ways. What would your advice be to somebody that would like to host an event, or whether it be me or somebody else that's listening, that like what are the things to look out for? What are the things to do, not do? Tale of the tape.
Things to really keep in mind when you're trying to host an event is, what is your why at the end of the day? What are you trying to accomplish with the event? Are you trying to go really big, or do you want it more intimate? And you have to kind of look at these details in order to kind of build on what you want to do. And then also, our intention is bringing in other businesses. So, for example, restaurants. We like hosting at restaurants. It gives us accessibility to really good food, and we can have desserts, but also we have the space. So, however, let's just say in terms of sign up, you don't have as many people as you had hoped. You also have to pivot. You also have to learn how to pivot.
Just from experience.
Yes, yes, you have to learn how to pivot. And is it worth it at the end of the day in terms of investment wise? And so we actually, our I believe it was second in-person event was more small scale. And so we were thinking, is it really worth it to have it at a restaurant or something of that nature? It really wasn't. And so we just had it at a private residence, and it was spectacular. And we were still able to set up production on the other side. Melissa specifically set up production, and we were able to do hot seat coaching, speak about the theme, right, which was leadership and legacy. And so that is what you have to have in the back of your mind in terms of, all right, how many people and what is our why? What's our takeaway? What do we want to accomplish at this event? And is it going to be more network heavy? Is it going to be more, coaching? Are people going to be sitting down? Are people going to be mingling? You kind of have to really think, what's the vibe of the event? And then you can really go from there to kind of reach out to different businesses. We love obviously going to different small businesses and those in the on Long Island community. And
Are you a Long Island native or no?
I am.
Yeah, you can usually tell when somebody's not when they say in Long Island.
Yeah, I don't know. Grammatically, I'm not even sure. On Long Island, and yeah, you want to, and so we want other businesses that are aligned with us as well. And so that's what I would say when it comes to
Yeah.
planning in-person events.
How far in advance do you announce them?
Typically, I would say to announce an event at least anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks prior to the event. And again, depends on your community, depends on how big your community is, depends on, your influence on social media, depends on your marketing skills. But I definitely would say at least 4 to 6 weeks in advance to get people hyped up, and also people don't pay attention. People don't pay attention. They're like, "Oh wait, you're having an event next Friday? I didn't even see that." So,
How are you actively growing your brand?
how am I actively growing my brand? That's a really good question. For me right now, with where I'm at in my life and going into and being pregnant and going into motherhood, I'm very heavy on content creation and social media. I'm very heavy online because most of my business operates online. And so I really doubled down into what I wanted to focus on. Obviously, I'm taking a little bit of time off when it comes to the coaching. And so I'm focused more so on the app side of things. And so I'm really doubling down on social media and content creation right now.
Just super quick pivot to something I heard yesterday. I'm going to share this. It may be helpful or not helpful, but as you're about to become a first-time mom,
Please
um,
help me.
just this really, really interesting thing that somebody mentioned to me yesterday, and it kind of was. I hope I can portray it properly because it was pretty profound when he said it. We were talking about how uh, I was saying that being a parent it's incredibly rewarding, but it's also incredibly overstimulating.
Mm,
And it's not necessarily that it's hard all the time, it's just very overstimulating. And he asked this question, he's like, is it the parenting that's overstimulating, or is it the things you're trying to do while being a parent that's overstimulating?
mm.
And it really got me to question because it's like, here I was making homemade ketchup yesterday from
I
the
love
tomatoes
it.
from my garden. He's like, but do you really have to be making the ketchup? And he's like, and I was like, no, I really actually don't. Like that's something I want to be doing, but that is what's me like he's like, I think your primary role is in this season is being a parent, and everything else is an add-on. And I think it's really about letting whether or not you let those add-ons become your stressors. Because when I just give my daughter my full attention, and there's a balance obviously, because otherwise they become spoiled brats. They have to learn to wait,
Of
and
course.
you can't give them the full time, right? But and you have to be able to cook dinner without them like on your leg. Like it's a balance, right? But as a mindset, he said this, and I was like, man, that's so interesting. Like I think that it's all about where your perspective is, and my perspective was that parenting's the overstimulating thing, but really my job is to be the parent, and I don't have to make the ketchup. And if it doesn't get done the way I want to, it's okay. I gotta let that go. And it's just interesting. And like he's like, it's like driving a car and texting. He's like, driving the car is really the main thing. A lot of people still text, but that's not really the main thing. And if you start giving that main thing the main focus, it becomes really dangerous really quickly.
You know what this is called? Sacred surrender.
Explain that.
So, and I'm leaning into this heavily too because I'm going into a new chapter of the unknown, and I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going to happen with parenting, and I'm going to do the best I can. Of course, my goal is to be the best mother that I possibly can.
Yeah.
So, these things where you just cannot control mostly anything. And so I'm really having to lean into the season of sacred surrender and just go with it.
Are you familiar with the Serenity Prayer?
Of course. I love the
Have you
serenity
heard the
prayer.
full version?
I have, and I grew up and went to Catholic school my whole life. I don't remember the
They
full
taught that in
version.
Catholic school?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I love the serenity prayer. I
Yeah.
have it on a mug.
Nice.
But
Um,
these are part of the tools
yeah.
that, these little micro moments where I have a vision board, I have these things like post-it notes just like there to just, oh wait, let me come back to let me reground, let me refocus. And so sacred surrender is a really big season I'm in right now.
Yeah. So I want to wrap it up with the question we kind of talked about and touched on it, but what do you see? Obviously, you're giving birth within the next 2 weeks, but like what is next? What does that look like for you as a person, but also as a business owner?
I have some really big goals. I'm not gonna lie. I have some really big goals. Like my soul just cannot. I know I came here to do big things. I'm currently working on my fourth book, which is almost done. Who knows when that will be published and that whole process. But for me, writing, I always come back to that. And that's just like, it's like my textbook basically of my philosophy and how I help other people, and basically saying, here's a manuscript of how this helped me, this helped other people. Hopefully it will help you.
Where can people find the books?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
Do you self-publish or do you go through a publisher?
both. So my first book, it was self-publishing. It's called Balboa Press, but it's under Hay House. And so that they like help you in the process.
Do you like the Amazon self-publishing?
I do, but it depends on what you are trying to accomplish. So, my first book, I like how I have the option to have it published through just like different avenues, different streams, through Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million, Amazon, where I don't have to worry about that. And then obviously other bookstores can order them themselves as well. Amazon, you can do the same thing. I personally did Amazon for two of my journals. One's a daily gratitude journal, and then the other one is a wellness journal. Those came to fruition based off people telling me what they needed in sessions. And I was like, oh, I can create this for you. And so that is the situation where I said KDP and Amazon would be a great resource for that. This fourth book, I personally, and again, out of my control, whatever is going to happen, I went more of the traditional publishing route where I reached out to probably 80 different publishers and agents. Lots of no's, lots of crickets, but I did actually hear back from one who is more aligned with the metaphysical, spiritual, holistic health approach. And so we'll see what happens. But either way, I know that book is going to get out some way, somehow. So that's that. But people do have the option too. I am a big fan of Amazon and KDP.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what life holds in the next couple of weeks for you, but also in the
Thank you.
future. So, congratulations in advance.
Thank
And
you.
looking forward to following your journey and seeing what's going next. So
I
it was an
appreciate it.
absolute pleasure hearing your story. I know you
Thank
can't
you.
leave forward, so I'll pretend to shake your
Thank
hand.
you.